Welcome to Film Forum Presents, a podcast featuring special live events recorded at our theater located at 209 West Houston Street in downtown Manhattan. In this episode, Film Forum presents the acclaimed maverick artist Christo, who appeared for a Q&A on opening night of the documentary Walking on Water, with filmmaker Andrey M Paounov on Friday, May 17, 2019. Paounov's film follows Christo as he works to realize the latest of his larger-than-life installations, the Floating Piers, in Lake Iseo in northern Italy in 2016. Walking on Water is now playing.
Good evening, folks. My name is Joseph Berger. I am the Theater Operations and Events Manager here at Film Forum, and we are thrilled to welcome you all to the opening night of the U.S. theatrical premiere of Walking on Water by director Andrey M Paounov. A quick word of thanks to our friends at Kino Lorber, the film's distributor. Walking on Water, which had its world premiere at the Locarno Film Festival this past August, documents Christo's The Floating Piers, a project conceived with his late wife and creative partner Jeanne-Claude decades ago, and eventually realized in northern Italy for 16 days in the summer of 2016. The Floating Piers was his first large-scale installation since The Gates in Central Park in 2005, and his first without Jeanne-Claude. Ultimately, 1.2 million people walked the Floating Piers. It was the most visited art event of that year. Immediately following tonight's screening, we are honored to have you all share with us in a Q&A with Walking on Water's subject Christo, one of the most revered and celebrated installation artists in the world. Also joining us, filmmaker Andrey M Paounov. Here to say a few words before we begin, please welcome Mr. Paounov.
Hello, good evening. Thank you for coming. I'm so excited that we finally get to show the film the way it was intended in cinema. And I'm not going to waste your time. I'll just say I've seen this film before. And I really like it. I think it's very, very, very good. So I hope you like it too. And maybe Christo says a word.
Thank you. Thank you very much. After that, we try to answer some questions. Thank you.
Folks, please give a warm welcome to filmmaker Andrey M Paounov and artist Christo. We are going to open up the questions to our guests, immediately to you guys. I have one quick question, though, for Christo. Ultimately, how many people were allowed on the Floating Piers every day once you guys sorted out that whole mess?
There are 1,200,000 people.
Total?
Totally. I don't know how many people were allowed. The principle was about 10,000 a day, but there was much more than that.
Okay. 90,000 a day.
Right.
Not so bad. Okay, if we could just take this first question here.
Mr. Christo, I have a request
No,
and
I'm
question.
Here. Don't go stand there.
I'd love to give you these celebrations for your upcoming birthday.
Thank
and
you.
I also would like to ask if that was one of the most hectic, nervous birthdays that you ever encountered when this project was going on.
About the time of the Floating Pier.
Yes. That was so hectic, and it was right at your time for your birthday.
I never celebrate my birthday, no. No. We choose the project to happen in June, or in the middle of June, or the end of June, because we like to have the longest daylight of the year. And of course, we hope to, all these projects, they related for aesthetical reasons. Sometimes we need to have a project happen before hurricane in Miami come and Biscayne Bay later. This was surrounded island was a spring project when we need to have a leafless tree to see the gates in Central Park during the summertime. Central Park is like forest. This is why we're waiting the winter, and we did a project with this leafless tree with the gray silver colors with the skyline Manhattan. Jeanne-Claude also sure we don't know that we have a snow. Actually, we have 2 times snow during the exhibition of the project. Basically, they're all season projects.
2 things. I wanted to know. The first thing is what happened to all the material? What happened to all the cloth, all the plastic, what
Plastic
type?
material, fiber. You know, I'm educated Marxist, and you should understand this is Project One like corporation. We are buying goods, and we try to resell them very much because they have value. Everything of the Project One is removed, is resell. And of course, the material is not the most expensive part. The most expensive part from the project is the labor.
Of course.
Payrolls, that is the most expensive. Forget the material.
Italian labor special.
Fabric is inexpensive, but sometimes we have a very expensive material. For the Central Park project, we need to have this base for the gates, and we bought 5,000 tons of steel. You don't know what's meaning 5,000 of steel? It's 2/3 of the steel of Eiffel Tower.
Wow.
And we sell that steel before we use it in Central Park to the Chinese. You understand? Basically, the material is very valuable, and there was aluminum, many things, and they are industrially resell. The people try to buy the things for industrial uses. And the fabric is the less expensive. All the fabric come from artificial fiber for the petrochemical industry. It's industrial textile. It's not at all cotton or linen. It's not strong. And I work with factory who produce that for the environmental, agricultural purposes, construction purposes, and we work with this company and we sell material to be reused exactly for that type of purposes.
I have a quick question for Andrey. How did you two meet, and what was the genesis of the project here?
As you see, Christo's projects they disappear very quick. So they're really heavily documented. And they had 10 different crews following Christo and all the different aspects of the project and stages and da-da-da. And at one point, at the end of the project, I was approached by the Christo crew and the producers with, the idea if we can kind of go through it and see if we can make a film out of it. And that's how it all started.
How much did the project cost? How much did you receive back, from your sales? So was there a net loss or was there a profit? And the second question is, do you plan to do any projects again in New York City?
No, I cannot say I will not do project in New York City again. It's possible, but for the moment, we don't have a project for New York City. Now, the project, if Jeanne-Claude was here, you always tell, we don't know how the project costs. The project will cost how much to cost. That's simply. And of course, the money comes from the sale of original works of art I do with my own hands. And that project cost 21 million euro.
What's that in dollars?
Yeah, it's more in dollars. So no.
I'm a documentary filmmaker, and I've filmed Albert Maysles. And I'm just wondering what the difference between working with Albert and working with Andrey for you was.
First, I met Albert and David in 1961, still living in Paris, and we were very young, and we grew together. Albert and David was very different because they was really traveling, filming the project. Now, we have a cameraman filming the project, many of them, but of course, Albert and David was gone. And David died in 85, 86 after the Pont Neuf. Albert died recently, but he was already gone. And of course, we are all, myself, Jeanne-Claude, we're always conscious that the project should have a very straight record. Part of many things that we, once the project is over, we collected components of the project. Each of our, and through the years, I put aside original works, and each of our projects have own documentation exhibition. A huge exhibition between 360 and 500 items, from the real original preparatory project for drawings for the project to the real part of the project, real gates, fabric, anchors, components, and correspondence, letter, court trials, all kind of things. And we own this exhibition. And before Jeanne-Claude passed away, she was very eager to find home for that, for some of this exhibition. And we sold the running fence documentation exhibition to the Smithsonian in Washington. Now they own entire 300 pieces about the running fence. The same things we did it with the Reichstag project that was held to the a German foundation who donated to the nation. Is right now is exhibited the exhibition in the second floor of the Reichstag, and with the exhibition like that about all the project, the gates, the Paounov project, Surrounded Island, and they're all telling the story. And of course, this is part of the very consciously recording archive for the exhibition. And this is another things we are involved with that, and this is how also often we have additional funds to pay for our project.
Hi, Christo. You mentioned that you attempted to do this project 2 times before, once in Argentina and once in Japan, but you weren't able to get permission. I was wondering, with all the bureaucracy in Italy that you depicted, how in the world did you get permission? How did you convince the authorities to do it there in Italy?
No, okay. You should know, we never work on one project. We work at least simultaneously 2-3 projects because we're never sure to get permission. This is the most difficult part. In the last 50 years, we realized 23 projects, and we failed to get permission for 47 projects. And of course, some projects we have an idea, but we never thinking to do it, or we have a stop and we lost interest, we don't like to do it anymore. Some project, another story, we work hard, we get permission, but we don't like to do it anymore. This is why, it's my money. If I don't like to do it anymore, why? and of course, the project of the Floating Pier is something Jeanne-Claude and myself love to do it. And after it's in the film, after the unsuccessful attempt in Argentina, we try to do it in Japan because we have friends. We know Japan very well. We almost did it. Fortunately, we have a huge fight with the government in Tokyo, and the project was canceled. I think fortunately was canceled because technology for the pier was not invented yet. These magic cubes was much later invented by Canadian engineers. And of course, there was the normal pontoon you see in the marina. It does not have that extraordinary quality, the moving with the water. And in some way, was very successful because we wait so long time. But another thing is, some project they designed for the site, and some project they concept, we try to find the site. The gates was designed for Central Park, the Reichstag was designed for the Reichstag, but the valley curtain or running fence or the umbrellas, there was idea, and we need to find the site.
I'm still not clear as to what happens to all those 270 plus plastic cubes that you had. I thought it was a really nifty design with the interlocking cubes and the screws, but it's an awful lot of course, I wonder, plastic. And are you able to?
But
somebody
it's used
will take it.
It's used for the marina. This is widely big method used for the marina.
It's so good. I'm
yeah,
glad to hear that,
this is
it's
how
really
a lot of marina underworld is done with this type of cubes.
very good. Thank you.
I was in high school in East Germany when you wrapped the Reichstag in Berlin. Now, I realize this might be a tricky one, but would you like to wrap the White House?
No. I should elaborate it. I do not point at my finger like that to the buildings I like to wrap. Why I try to wrap the Reichstag? You should know little more. When I escaped from communist country Bulgaria illegally to the West, there was the Cold War period. Germany was divided through entire Germany and military sector, French, British, United States sector, and the Russian sector. The Berlin, technically, was divided by the 4 military sector. And the only structure in Berlin who was simultaneously the two sector opposite was the Reichstag. 100 feet of east facade of the Reichstag was in the Soviet military sector. And we started negotiating the project with all these allied forces. If I was not born in a communist country, don't meaning anything, I often was saying to the people, it's between East and West. I tell, between East Coast and West Coast. In the sun, this is the story of all my projects. is the deep connection for something. It's not like that.
I was lucky enough to be there and to experience it, but obviously no idea of the massive drama behind it. I mean, how do you, having been through all of that, how do you say, okay, I'm going to do something else? I mean, was that the most dramatic, involved, crisis-prone event that you did ever?
I was not aware how it would be difficult to get the permission, but the project takes 25 years, was refused 3 times.
When you were doing it in the storm and the
in
wind.
the end, was like a game, like a poker game. The project was refused by the, there was the big negotiation with the military sectors. And of course, there was not the problem. The problem was the West German government, especially conservative government of Helmut Kohl. And Mr. Kohl was against the project, that end of the project. And the end is very simple. I forget to tell you. Everything in the world is owned by somebody. Anything, there are no square meter, belongs to somebody. In the case of the Reichstag, entire Reichstag is owned by 70 million Germans. Fortunately, we cannot talk to 70 million Germans. They are represented by 600 deputies in the parliament of Germany. And we work very hard to convince the majority of the parliament who vote. But, of course, the Conservative Party was in power. It was more conservative. And they was almost losing any chance to get majority for the project. There was about 90 minutes debate in the parliament. The principal speech against the wrapping of the Reichstag was delivered from the leader of Conservative Party, and there was vote, and we defeated the Conservative Party in power. And this is the first time decision that existed of the work of art was decided and roll call in the parliament of the nation. And the speech by the principal person against the project was delivered, was about 17 minutes or 16 minutes speech. It was very important politician, still today in Germany. Newspaper a few years ago asked Mr. Schäuble if anything in his life regret to do is that, yes, to vote against the wrapping of the Reichstag.
For Christo, I want to know what's the most gratification you have, because for me it was unbelievable how you can work with people, so different people. This I think, and I feel that are now saying that your gratification to have these people, the reaction of them, or waiting for them something, or you put the discussion. It's not only the art, but the discussion. It's very, it's unbelievable. I want to know if your art is more important than gratification you get to have all these people together, discussion, and so and so. For the filmmaker,
I'm not masochist. I like to have a lesser problem, really. But this is the reality. We need to convince the people, and it's like a journey with something you do not know. You don't have a slightest idea. And this is why I never will be involved with retrospective exhibition of my work. I like to do that to the end of my life, to die working on some project, and when I'm dead, people can do anything. But the question is, I enjoy tremendously that process. Now, this is something very important to see, that all our projects have this is inner structure, is the software period and the hardware period. The software period when the projects do not exist. They exist only in drawings and sketches on mind of the people who try to help us, in the mind of people who try to stop us. And through that software period, the project is revealed to us. It would be totally wrong to tell you that in 1972, I know what is the Reichstag. I learned the Reichstag in 25 years with 3 refusal, what is the Reichstag. And that project developed some energy, some expectation, have nothing to do with normal art. And this is why you should understand this project, they're behind the sculpture of painting. They're in the realm of architecture and urban planning. For example, ask how many architects build their buildings. Very few. There are many plans never built. And our project is the same things. the process will get the permission exactly like the building highway or bridge, the same. They are not performance artists. They are real iron workers building things, pay, and they're working. They are not any spectacles. They all really engaged to produce, to work that. And this is why this project have that reality cannot be invented, need to be lived up. And after the software period is passed, we're there working with the hardware period, with the real kilometers, the wind and sun and forces, the nature and everything, the real things, not any more paper, not any more discussion. And all that created the entire energy of the work. This is the reason I do not do commissions. Everything is decided by me. And this is because this is the essential part that the work will have that energy. No any corporate executive, no any specialist decided to do that. And this is why is the essential, the project to live to that process. I would like to be more, less draining of energy, to be more faster, but sometimes take a long time. Like the gates take 26 years, the Paounov 10 years.
Thank you very much. Please thank our special guests tonight.
Thank you for listening to Film Forum Presents. Special thanks to Kino Lorber for making this event possible. If you like what you just heard, please be sure to subscribe to get future episodes and rate and review so that more movie lovers can find us. Film Forum is an independent, nonprofit cinema, and our doors have been kept open for nearly 50 years thanks to the invaluable support of our members and donors. Please visit www.filmforum.org for details on membership, as well as information and showtimes for our current programming. See you at the movies.